Hi, this in this video, I am explaining the basis for the simulation-based valuation of the S&P 500 discussed in this post of the on the Warp Investor blog. Simulation-based valuation of the S&P 500, January 2023. So these are the valuations. Let me open a PowerPoint presentation that has these numbers and also some rationale for them. So here we are. So we have two fair value uh, estimates, one based on earnings being up by 4.7% in 2023 and treasury yield being at 3.49%. So that would give you the fair value of the S&P 500 currently, right? Because that's what the treasury yield is right now. And we also have this other scenario where earnings are assumed to be up by 4.7% for 2023, but treasury yields moving up to 4.22% soon. Um, in the left case scenario, we have a fair value of 3.225. Right now, the S&P 500 is close to 4,000, 3,900 and something. So even this more benign scenario implies that the S&P 500 currently is overvalued. Um, Fair P for it, considering these options, earnings growth of 4.7% and 10-year rate at 3.49% would imply a fair PE of around 14%. Now, in this case, with the 10-year rate higher, the fair PE goes down lower, and the fair price would be 2,667, which would imply a drop from a recent high of 4,818 of 44%. So, what are the bases for this? One of the bases is the S&P earnings growth estimate of 4.7%. This is from Yardeni Research, which also summarizes the analyst consensus for S&P earnings growth, and that number is 4.3%, so it's a little bit lower. Yardeni Research's numbers a little bit higher. But notice that for the first two quarters of 2023, Udemy is estimating a drop in earnings of 3.3%, then 5.1%, and then a growth in the last two quarters that would make up for those decreases, for those drops. So Yarden's research, which is very reliable, is uh, is estimating that the S&P earnings will drop more than what analysts are predicting, and then it will grow by a bit less in the last two quarters than analysts are predicting. Now we assumed those. So in our estimates, we had for the 10-year Treasury, we had the value that it is today. This is from CNBC, and also the top value, which we use for the other estimate, the less benign estimate, which is a recent high, which is 4.22%. That's this number here. And we are assuming that this could be the 10-year rate soon. because of the projection for current projection for the Fed funds rates, a 1 year projection, which is 5.1%. So we are assuming that the 10-year rate will go up if this is done, if this is executed. So we are assuming that this will happen if things go well in the economy and we have the soft landing that we have been discussing in the media. Now, if this doesn't happen and the Fed has to change course in between, then of course the 10-year will be going down. It could go down even to 1% or even lower. But if that happens, it will be because we do not achieve the soft landing that is being expected. So either way, it seems that S&P valuations today are rather optimistic. So this is what we have around today, almost 4,000, 3,900 and something, almost 4,000. One thing I will notice though, and anybody can see here, is that when you look at this recent multi-year trend of the S&P 500, this is the uh, 200 week moving average. So it's a moving average that spans a few years, close to 4 years. So 200-week moving average. So this is the trend, recent multi-year trend of the S&P 500. And as we can see, uh, the most recent low barely touched it, and it has moved up. And now it's approaching the 50 week moving average, and it has been in this range. Now one could say, well, this is why the market is behaving the way it is behaving. It has gone down to its historic average, and now it's going to be gravitating around it. That is possible, but we have to consider the fact that this recent multi-year trend in the S&P 500 was with QE, quantitative easing, particularly here, right, during COVID when we had that massive amount of stimulus uh, uh, being issued, and QE, and also interest rates kept at very low levels. Now we have a completely different picture with a very steep increase in the Fed funds rate, uh, probably as steeper than anything we've seen before. Take, for example, this increase in interest rates, which led to a recession. This is definitely not as steep as this one. This one is looks almost vertical compared with this one here, and starting around 2004, that presumably led to the 2008 recession. So what we have here is a very aggressive quantitative or tightening of conditions, including quantitative tightening, which means reducing the Federal Reserve's balance sheet, which tends to reduce liquidity from circulation. So it does seem that this scenario here is more likely. So a drop in the S&P 500 going forward, right? It could take a long time, but this is the bear market trend that we have been since this point here. So we are looking at possibly a drop. And Often, if the market really goes down significantly, it may go down to levels that could even be lower than this value here. But we are far from there. As you can see, it'd be more around this level here, so that at this pace, it will take a while for us to get there. So this concludes this uh, video that I'm developing here to accompany this post on the Warp Investor blog with simulation-based valuation of the S&P 500 for January 2023.